Welcome to another episode of UEN's PDTV. In this episode, we have traveled to Cyprus High School in Magna to learn how Assistant Superintendent Tyler Howe's digital hall pass system is transforming attendance and fostering student responsibility.
Grant School District really is just south of the Salt Lake School District and just north of the Canyons and Jordan School District, and we cover from one side of the valley to the other. And we have 8 high schools, we have 16 junior high schools and 54 elementary schools, and a great place to be and work. Magna's always been a very tight-knit community. It's awesome to be able to have such a rich history. Most of the students who are at Cyprus High School, a lot of them had family, uncles, aunts, parents who were at Cyprus themselves, so it's fun to get to watch that trend through Magna.
In this episode, we'll explore Granite School District's On the Way system, a tool developed to promote attendance in a positive way and keep students in class where learning happens. Well, you've developed a digital hall pass system to help out. You started as a principal at Granger High, I believe,
Correct.
And you developed this system to really help improve attendance at your school. So what is the On the Way system and how did you develop it?
My background, I was an elementary teacher and principal before going to the junior high and then before going to the high school, and I feel really privileged that I got to do that through the same network. So I had some of the same kids in my elementary school that were in my junior high, that were in my high school. That being said, it was eye-opening for me to see the differences of all the levels. And when I arrived at Granger High School, one of the things that stood out to me was, we get a lot of students who get to the school who don't get the rest of the way to class. And it's understandable. There's a lot we get from our school experience, and a lot of that is social. They're hanging out in the commons or in the hallways or in other parts of the building, and they're not getting to class. And it just was something that, from my background in the junior high and elementary school, I was stumped. How do we get over that threshold?
We actually implemented the On the Way system for the first time last year at our old building, and we've kind of been refining it since then. And it's a way to try to get the kids to class more and on time. What it is when the bell rings and a kid becomes tardy to class, we have attendance trackers in our halls. We have about 8 attendance trackers, and as soon as the bell rings, a kid is supposed to be in the hall with a hall pass. So any student who hasn't gotten to class, our attendance trackers are moving all over the building and they're saying, hey, do you have a hall pass? No? Okay, great, let me get you checked into class. The student puts their 9 number into an iPad, a phone. It sends an email to their teacher that says, hey, so-and-so is on their way to class, be on the lookout for them. And then the attendance tracker gives them a little blue pass so that as an administrator or anybody else that's in the hall, we can see, okay, that student either has a pass, they have a blue pass, they've been checked in, someone's made contact with them. At that point, it kind of puts the student on a 5-minute timer, so they have 5 minutes. They go to class, they check into class, they give the blue pass to their teacher, great, nothing happens, they're where they're supposed to be. If the student decides, I'm gonna take my time, I'm gonna go hide out in the bathroom, I'm gonna walk off campus, because we know that they were here and we know where they're supposed to be, in the email that goes to the teacher, there's a little link and it can say, hey, if so-and-so doesn't arrive, click this link, and it automatically submits a truancy ticket.
This creates a little bit of accountability for the student to say, hey, Mr. Howe just checked me in, my teacher now knows I'm on my way, and if I don't get there in the next few minutes, this becomes a problem. It's also nice that they're not in trouble at first. It's not that we're leading out with, why are you in the hall? You don't have a pass. Why are you late? It's, hey, I'm glad you're here. Let's get you where you're supposed to be. Let me get you checked in. And because it's done universally to every student in the hallway, it feels safe and comfortable for students. We found a success rate somewhere between 90 and 93% of students, once they were checked in, they would actually make it to class, which was huge. We also saw just such a difference in our hallways. Now, instead of a constant barrage of kids walking up and down the halls, the few kids that were still there had a pass, and we knew they are where they're supposed to be, and it solved a lot of problems.
Yeah, that positive approach is the other thing that really hit me as you were talking, that you're trying to have a positive interaction out of what could feel like this very tense situation. And then you add to it by communicating with every party involved. the parents, the students, the teachers, the admins, so that everybody's on the same page and can really work through whatever challenges there are together.
And I think that communication is why it is as successful as it is. In our school district, we do have a truancy fee that we will issue to students. We don't really want to charge a fee. In fact, we have multiple ways they can just get it waived as long as they start going to class and can show that. But why I think it was such a deterrent for students is even our high school students don't really love that their parent just got a message saying that they were checked in and then did not go to class. And that just little bit of communication, closing the loop, went a long way at getting, like I said, 90 to 93% of our kids from getting checked in into the classroom, which was awesome.
You mentioned your statistics. Attendance is improving. Why does that ultimately matter? Why is this system so important in a high school?
You know, one of my favorite data points to share with students, parents, and teachers is a simple histogram I'd make that would actually take the students who had 0 to 3 absences and what their grade for the quarter was. And then I take the group 4 to 6 and what their grade for the quarter was. And then the ones that were 7 to 9. And it is a perfect correlation. Every single quarter I would do it. That those with 0 to 3 absences had the best grades. Those with 4 to 6 had the next best. Those with 7 to 9 had the next best, all the way down. And I'd put that in front of them and say, being here correlates to your grades, which in Granite School District, our grades are highly tied to proficiency. If you are wanting to learn and gain these skills and gain this knowledge, it starts by being here.
Talk to me about how you utilized Google Sheets to develop this system, and I believe that you also utilized some information from your student information system. How did you build this all? How does it work?
The great thing is, obviously every school district is going to have a different student data management system, but I have never interacted with one that doesn't have the ability to download data and to be able to export it into a CSV or an Excel file. So I would do that on a weekly basis. I did it at my high school when I was at Granger. Now that I'm in this new role and I actually work and supervise with all of the high schools, I do the same thing for all high schools every single weekend. I just download to make sure the data is fresh, that has the student name and their schedule, you know, which classes, which period, and which teacher. The Google form is awesome because it's free and accessible to everybody. The other thing that's great about a Google form is it will create a timestamp to the second of when that submission came in. So when we are checking a student in on our On the Way Google form, it is actually recording to the second the moment that they got checked in by a staff member. So we know what 3 to 5 minutes after that moment would be because there's a recorded timestamp. So the great part about once I had built that, it was instantly shareable, and I was able to share it with all the other high schools in our school district, and every high school was seeing the same kind of results that we saw at Granger, which was awesome.
Not every school can do this homegrown system.
Absolutely.
And it does take a little bit of work on your end to keep things going, although you've got it moving pretty well now. What's the long-term solution, or what are some other solutions for those who are interested but aren't quite sure about building the Google Sheets?
Once it's created, it is very shareable, even if the person who receives it isn't comfortable writing their own formulas. My experience has been that in every school there is somebody who likes spreadsheets. So whether that's the principal like I was at Granger or someone else on staff, there's usually somebody who likes spreadsheets. And in sharing it out with the other high schools in my district, there was always someone to pick that up and run with it. So inside Granite School District or outside our school district, it's something that I'm happy to share because I love seeing that kind of tool benefit other schools and other kids and other staffs. Long-term solution, I love to see a system that's not so homemade and is more built into what the actual school data management system is. And in Granite School District, it's been exciting to watch as we're using the platform called Focus, and this year there's a digital hall pass feature that our schools are using that a lot of the schools have started to say, hey, we can use the digital hall pass in the same way we were using the On the Way spreadsheet, and then it's all built in and doesn't need to be re-downloaded every Saturday. So that's been, for a few of our schools in our school district, they've started to move that direction, and I applaud it. Sometimes I think they think I'm going to be disappointed they're not using the one that I built, and I say this is what I would prefer for myself, because the less we have to do as administrators or educators on this end, the better. And to have it built into a data management system goes a long way.
Are there any concerns when it comes to student data privacy with downloading and including, class schedules and student names in the Google Forms and things?
And that's a good question. We're always very aware of that, want to be cognizant of that. The good news is this is a shared Google spreadsheet that is only shared amongst a select group that have to be individually added on, so it's not widely open for other people to access. The other thing that's reassured us on this is it is very minimal data in terms of risk of what kind of information's out there. It's going to have a student name, a student ID number, and their schedule. It's going to say which period they're at, which teacher they have, which is almost public knowledge by anyone who observes anyone else in the school. By watching where students go, you can kind of get a sense of what their schedule is. So it's not a terribly risky set of data to be putting to that spreadsheet, and it's seemed to work just fine.
And when you use the school accounts through Google and the education accounts, they're aware of student privacy laws that they are maintaining as well. So
correct. And on my end, I'm not on the IT side of this as much, but on my end, just knowing that we keep it secured amongst those who are supposed to have access to that document. The system runs independent of the teachers or the trackers in the hallways having access to the spreadsheet. So really in most schools, it's the principal or the spreadsheet expert who's just making sure the data is up to date, who have access to that. And everyone else who is checking students in only have access to a Google form, which is public anyways. So it works really well.
Again, overall, what is the ultimate, purpose for this kind of system and the overall lessons learned about trying to problem solve in a high school?
The purpose of it, bottom line, is we want kids at our school and we want them in the right place at our school. We want them where they're in class, learning with their teacher and their classmates. And it has effectively done that, better than anything else we tried. And we're educators. We know in education we're constantly going through a cycle of trial and error to see what results are produced. This produced results that were just inescapable. And bottom line, we wanted it for student learning and student safety pieces, and that's what we seem to achieve on it. So we're excited about what it's accomplished, and in some form or another, it's here to stay.
Thank you so much for sharing the work that you've been doing.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Now that you have seen Tyler's system in action, consider how you can utilize technology and a positive approach to solve problems in your school and promote student responsibility as well. Start by considering what challenges and problems you're facing that you would like to try to resolve. Then be sure to include administrators, teachers, students, and parents in finding the solutions. Utilize a positive approach to solving problems, including increased communication and community building. Then consider what technology might be utilized to support the solutions you've come up with. For example, Tyler utilized Google Forms and Google Sheets to manage the data and to develop his Hall Pass system. Are there Google Workspace for Education Plus resources and tools that might help you? Google also has incorporated their AI system, Gemini, to help you with things like formulas, generating ideas, and creating. And of course, you could always consider pre-made technology systems that can help you with your solutions as well. For example, digital hall pass systems that incorporate into your student information system, or SIS. These types of systems can pull even more data and really personalize whatever solutions you come up with. For even more tools, resources, and strategies, be sure to visit uen.org/PDTV and access the teacher toolkit that accompanies this episode. Thanks for watching UEN's PDTV. To access more professional development resources from UEN and to schedule a training, visit uen.org/development. We'll see you next time.